Hey guys, what's up? It's Josh. Welcome back to another video. As you guys can see by the title of today's video and by the car behind me, we are looking at the 2020 Range Rover Velar SV Autobiography Dynamic. It's a very long name, but this car has so many cool features in it and it is so luxurious. This is the Autobiography, so it has a lot of the luxurious features that you'd be looking for in a Range Rover if you're wanting to spend over $100,000. So this specific model behind me sells for around $105,000 after tax. And so I wanted to go over some of the really cool features, and I'm not going to go through everything, but I just came up with a top list of things that I think are nice in it and things that you guys might be interested in. So thank you to Land Rover Vancouver for giving me the Range Rover for the day. And with that being said, let's get into today's video and take a look at all these cool features. So the engine inside this Range Rover is a 5-liter V8 that produces 550 horsepower, which is crazy fast. And the way that this car sounds with this V8 in it sounds absolutely amazing. Now the exterior of this car as well is called Santorini Black. It's a metallic paint, but yeah, that is the exterior color and the engine. One thing that's very distinct about the Velar is it has a different body shape and it's less boxy as the other Range Rovers or Land Rovers. So you guys will notice that this one has more of a sleek look. It has the door handles that retract into the car, and although that looks really nice, Range Rover actually did that on purpose as well because it makes the car more aerodynamic. So it's just a little bit more efficient when it's going down the highway or at fast speeds, but I think that the body on this looks really cool. So when you're looking at the front of this Velar, you guys can see there's some very distinct features and some things that I need to talk about. Definitely the lights, the front grille, and also the hood. I think that just Range Rovers in general, when you see the hood with those two panels that are on the side of them, it makes the front look a lot more sporty. Now when you're looking at the grille, because this car does have a huge V8 engine in it producing 550 horsepower, which is crazy, there needs to be a lot of air being sucked into that engine. So they have two massive grills on it. There's one right in the middle, as you guys can see, and then one that kind of wraps around the bottom. Now another really important feature on this car that you guys can kind of see on the front as well on that grille is there are a bunch of sensors. So this has a lot of safety features in it in terms of sensors when you're parking and sensors when you're driving down the road and somebody stops in front of you. So kind of going back to the lights again, I think that the way that they kind of shape around the car looks really good. But when you have your running lights on, this is what they look like. And then when you turn your signals on, this is what it looks like when you have your signals on. So it has a really nice look to them. And I feel like the front of this car just looks very aggressive and very sleek at the same time. So moving on to the rear of the Velar, you guys can see that one thing that stands out the most is definitely the casing around the exhaust. It looks a little bit different than a lot of other Range Rovers that are out there, and I think they're going for a little bit of a different look. Now one thing that stands out as well is just when you're looking at the back of the Velar, you can see that there's nothing that sticks out. There's no lights that stick out, there's no fender that's sticking out weird, there's no real pointed edges. It's very smooth and it makes it just look very modern, I feel like. So when you're looking at the lights, they shape around the car really nice. When you're looking at how just the body flows into the back of the car, everything just kind of flows together and looks really good. Something that is also on this specific Velar that looks nice and makes it look a little bit more sporty is that the badges are actually blacked out and the Range Rover logo actually has black in it. So it just makes it look a little bit more sporty overall. So last thing I'm going to talk about are the door handles. These are retractable door handles. So when you walk up to the car, there are two different ways to open them. First way is you push the button that's located on the door handle when you have the key in your pocket, and that makes the door handle just pop out and then you can open it. The second way is when you just push the unlock button on your key, then the door handle also comes out. So it's a really cool way to make your car, I guess, a little bit more aerodynamic and gives it a more sleek look to it. And so that is the door handles on the Velar. All right, so sitting inside the Range Rover Velar SV Autobiography Dynamic. So when you're sitting in here, my first impression was just how comfortable it felt. The reason that I felt that was because the way that the seats are designed, this is an ebony, the color is called an ebony interior, and then also has an oyster That's what they call it, an oyster colored stitching. Now this car has a lot of really cool features on it in terms of the seats. These are 20-way adjustable seats, which is pretty crazy when you think about being able to adjust the seat 20 different ways. These seats are actually also heated, cooled, and massaged. You guys can see that up here. There are just these really nice headrests, and when you're driving, your head kind of just sinks into it and makes the drive a little bit more enjoyable. Another thing that plays into the modernness of this car is the aluminum gear shifter that pops out of the middle console. Also, it has an aluminum gear shift paddles on the sides of the steering wheel, and just the detail in like the little wheels that control your climate control. All of these little details I think play a huge part in just the way that this car feels when you're sitting in it. Now, a few more things worth noting. The steering wheel has a very nice design to it. So when the car is on, you can see on the right side of the steering wheel, there is your cruise control. You also have your heated steering wheel and your lane keep assist. And then on the left side of the steering wheel, you have all of your like volume controls and your track controls. There's also a voice command button, and there is a diamond shaped button, which can be programmed to be kind of whatever you want in the car. So that's the steering wheel situation. A lot of cool things. It's also just a really nice leather as well. So moving on to the dashboard and the screens in this car is basically, majority of it is screens on the dashboard and how you control things. First screen I'm going to talk about is the climate control screen. If I do a little pan, you guys can see all the buttons that are on here. So on this screen, you have on the top, you have your climate control, which is basically you can control where the air is flowing in the car. Now at the top of the screen, you can also see your seat options are up there, and that's where you can turn on your heated seats or your cooling seats, and then also adjust the way that your seat is massaging you. Now also beside that on this screen, at the top, there is a vehicle button. That's where you can control your different drive modes in this car. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different drive modes. So there's one for sand, there's one for off-roading, there's one for snow, there's a normal mode, there's an eco mode, and there's also a sport mode. Now, if we move up to the top screen, this is the screen that has your navigation on it. It has all of your functions in terms of your radio and your media. What's also really cool about this screen is how it pops out when you actually turn the car on. So in terms of the top screen, you have some of your just normal regular things that you would want in your car. So you have your navigation, you have your stereo and your radio and your media and all that stuff. This car has Apple CarPlay as well, so if you plug your phone in, everything just shoots up onto your dashboard and you don't have to look at your phone at all. So another feature on the middle console is that there are 2 cup holders. There's a big storage area, which is kind of designed in a very unique way. You can pull up one side of it and it opens, or you can pull up the passenger side and that also opens. And then I was really confused about what this black panel was that was right next to the gear shifter. And what that is actually another cup holder. So if you push down kind of hard on it, you can see that it opens up, and now you have 3 cup holders in the front of your Range Rover. Now, in terms of the gauge clusters in this car, it's very impressive when it comes to what you actually see on these screens. So you guys can see just right away, everything looks really nice, and I like that it has that cool pattern that the climate control handles have actually as your like gauge clusters that are on your screen. That just gives it a really cool look and ties everything nicely in together. But when you're looking at this screen, you can see on the left side you have what your speed limit is. You also have a really cool SV badge that just lets you know that you do have an SV. And then right next to that on the other side, you have all 3 seats that are in the back seat will show you if somebody has their seatbelt not put on. So I think that's a really cool feature, especially if you have kids and you want to know who has their seatbelt on. You can just see by looking at that screen. Just above that, you have all of your different drive controls. So if you're in reverse or drive. And my favorite part of this screen is just how you can see the map right in the middle. This is something that I feel every car should have, because then you don't have to be looking around at your maps and trying to figure stuff out. You can literally just look right under you and you see it. Now, something that I should mention as well is just how on the steering wheel these buttons actually change. So this is almost like a little screen that's on here. So as you guys can see right now, there's a bunch of buttons lit up, but if I push menu, it actually switches it so that it becomes a whole different cluster of buttons that you can push in order to adjust your settings in your menu. So that's a kind of a cool feature that is built into this steering wheel, is that these actually change and you can have a bunch of different functions on here. So sitting in the back of the Range Rover Velar is definitely a very comfortable ride. It has a bunch of different settings back here for the climate control, so each side can actually change their climate to whatever they want it to be. You also have a function that's right next to your seat that gives you the ability to actually adjust it so that it goes back and forward. Now, one thing that I think is kind of strange that I'm looking for but I can't really find is I don't think that it has any USB ports for the back seats. Definitely a very comfortable ride though, and you have this massive sunroof that's above you that you can really see anything that's above you, and this really nice suede headliner. So yeah, the back seats definitely have a lot of room and are really comfortable if you're going on like a trip or something. So those are some cool features on the Range Rover Velar. I'm gonna take you guys now on a drive and kind of explain how it feels to actually drive this car. I feel like the first thing that I really notice is how comfortable it feels just to be sitting here, and as I said that, my seat massager turned on and now I'm getting a back massage. So I feel like the inside of this car is definitely designed for just like comfort. That's all I can really say. It's not like sporty in any sense in here. It's very like functional. Everything looks so modern and just very classy. All of like the embezzlement on the on like the climate control knobs, and even the like the aluminum on the gear shifter knob, everything just looks very like expensive almost. So so yeah, sitting in it, the seats are comfortable. One thing that I noticed like right off the bat was the cushion on the back of the headrest, because when you're sitting at like a stoplight or you're just moving off in any sense, your head kind of sinks into the back of the headrest, which is something that I don't think I've ever felt in another car before. It feels like you're actually putting your head down on like a pillow on your bed. So that's one thing that I think is cool about it. So when you're driving it down like a bumpy road like I am right now, the suspension feels really good. I just have it on the normal mode right now, so it's not like in dynamic where the suspension gets harder or anything, but yeah, I'm driving down this road, feels good. I'm gonna put it on a straight road in a second, put it in sport mode and see how it does. But so far, just very comfortable. Okay, so I'm on more of a straight road now, so if I put it into dynamic mode, it shows a little sign of the car lowering, so that just makes it, I guess, a little bit more aerodynamic. And then a little screen shows up and says that I'm in dynamic mode. Now, if I really put my foot down, one thing that I can actually notice without doing anything is it sounds like the exhaust changes a little bit, and I can see on the little screen down here that it actually has an exhaust button. So I guess you can adjust your exhaust on if you want it to be louder or not. But if I put my foot down right now, you guys can see, maybe see what it sounds like. You can definitely hear how good that exhaust sounds. Just a big V8, and when it has that exhaust mode on, it sounds so good. So I feel like when you put it in dynamic mode, it turns into like a little race car, and it feels like it kind of has a little bit more ability to like go around corners a little bit tighter. And then when you push the acceleration, it feels like it's a lot quicker. So this car goes through gears pretty fast, it sounds really good. And now if I put it back into normal mode, it shows, oh yeah, this is comfort mode. It just shows like the little sign going back to regular suspension, and now we're back in comfort mode. So kind of cool how you can switch between those different modes, and there is a drastic difference between how loud the car sounds when you put it in dynamic mode. But yeah, I think that's it. Overall, everything just feels really comfortable, but also at the same time, you can make it feel sporty. All right, so that is the 2020 Range Rover Velar SV Autobiography Dynamic. I went over a bunch of different things that I think are cool in this car. I think overall, it's an amazing car for if you're wanting to go on family trips, if you're wanting to go off-roading, if you're wanting a very luxurious feel in a car, if you're wanting something that feels sporty. This kind of has everything all put into one. There's so many different driving modes and so many things that this car does. So if you are in the price range of what this is, then I would definitely suggest going on a test drive and trying it out, because with all of the luxurious features that it has, like the massage massage seats and being able to recline the back seats. All of these things are just little things that play a huge part in like what you'd actually want in a very luxurious but sporty SUV. So yeah, that's my review of this car. Thank you to Land Rover Vancouver for giving me the car for the day. But with that being said, I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. Let me know what kind of cars you guys would like me to review. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.